This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Monday, August 5th, 2024. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
Vice President Harris interviewing potential vice presidents of her own. I'm Clayton Neville.
American Noah Lyles wins the men's 100-meter dash, earning the title the world's fastest human. I'm Steve Futterman at the Summer Olympics in Paris.
Donald Trump says he's pulling out of a scheduled September debate with Vice President Kamala Harris. I'm Jackie Quinn.
Jordan's foreign minister is heading to Iran. I'm Karen Chammas.
On Wall Street, August is ugly so far. A sell-off for stocks last Friday on a weaker than expected jobs report. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
U.S. auto safety regulators are a step closer to a recall of nearly 1 million Dodge Journey SUVs. I'm Haya Panjwani.
All ahead on America in the Morning. Vice President Kamala Harris is reportedly interviewing candidates to serve as her vice president. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
Vice President Harris is expected to announce her vice presidential pick tomorrow. She reportedly met with potential candidates over the weekend. This as speculation around the country grows over who she might pick. The United Auto Workers Union endorsed Harris, and the group's president, Shawn Fain, spoke on CBS's Face the Nation this week, giving his 2 cents.
We've really broken down these candidates, really looked at them, and I'll tell you, my favorite's Andy Beshear from Kentucky. I mean, the man stood with us, on the picket line. He's been there for workers throughout every bit of our walk.
Harris is said to have met yesterday with Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. She also reportedly met with Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona. There are multiple reports that Harris is also considering and speaking with Kentucky's Andy Beshear and J.B. Pritzker of Illinois. Even Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg's name has been floated. Again, an announcement from Harris on her VP expected tomorrow. I'm Clayton Neville.
Olympics update. The men's 100-meter dash ended in a photo finish. Correspondent Steve Futterman has details.
It is considered the most glamorous event in the Olympics, and last night it was one of the closest men's 100 meters in history. American Noah Lyles beat Jamaica's Kashane Thompson by 5/1000ths of a second. It took around 30 seconds to determine who had won. With his win, Lyles earns the title the world's fastest human. He told reporters afterwards that he wasn't sure initially who had won.
I didn't do this against a slow crowd or a field. I did this against the best of the best on the biggest stage with the biggest pressure. And oh my gosh, there it is.
Getting the bronze in the 100-meter dash was American Fred Curley. Today, Lyles begins his quest for a second gold medal in the 200-meter event. At the pool yesterday, swimming competition wrapped up with a couple of world records by the U.S. In gymnastics yesterday, Suni Lee won bronze in the uneven bars. She was the final gymnast to compete and knew she had to have an excellent performance.
I never thought that I would make it here, so having my coaches and everyone supporting me has been super special because we didn't think that I would be here.
Today, the great Simone Biles is back. She will wrap up her Paris Olympics competing in 2 final events, the balance beam and floor exercise. Most believe this will be Biles' final Olympics, but this weekend she hinted that she might try to compete 4 years from now in Los Angeles. I'm Steve Futterman at the Summer Olympics in Paris.
Firefighters in California are still working to contain the Park Fire, which has now consumed more than 400,000 acres. Correspondent Julie Walker reports.
Containment of the Park Fire near Chico, California, the state's 4th largest wildfire on record, is up to at least 30% thanks to favorable weather conditions Saturday, says CAL FIRE spokesperson Chris Vestal.
Great opportunity to make some good advances on either making new line or improving existing fuel breaks.
But Sunday's weather not helping the more than 6,500 firefighters on the ground and in the air, says CAL FIRE's Jim Evans.
It's clear skies. The heat is going to be a little hotter, and it's going to be drier, which those are 3 combinations that are don't help us at all.
The Park Fire allegedly started by arson, forcing many people to evacuate and destroying more than 500 structures. I'm Julie Walker.
The top stories of the day are sponsored by Sleep Number. Sleep better together. Save 40% on a Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com. Coming up, Trump, Harris to square off in presidential debate when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back this Monday to America in the Morning. Hurricane Debbie appeared over the weekend. With an update, here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Hurricane Debbie will move northward today, approaching the Big Bend in Florida. Debbie is going to make landfall as a hurricane during the midday and then continue on a path into southern Georgia later today into tonight. Impacts from Debbie will be significant with a storm surge of 10 to 15 feet near and east of the center of the storm in Appalachia Bay, Florida. Along with this coastal inundation, Debbie will bring heavy rainfall leading to additional flooding, which it will have a challenge displacing because of the storm surge. There will be several inches to as much of a foot of rainfall over the next 24 hours across northern Florida, which will expand into southern Georgia and southern South Carolina today and tonight. Winds will cause considerable damage with gusts up to 120 miles per hour near the storm center at landfall. And then Debbie will lose wind intensity after landfall, but it will remain significant in impacts tonight through the rest of the week as Debbie moves very slowly or stalls in the southeast. Outside of Debbie, there will be an elongated cold front extending from the northern plains through the Great Lakes into the northeast. From that, there will be some showers and thunderstorms from North and South Dakota, eastward through Wisconsin, into Michigan, and then continuing to New York and New England. A few of the storms could be heavy and gusty in the Great Lakes and northeast, with heavier rain possible in the Dakotas into Minnesota. Scattered afternoon thunderstorms will form again over the Rockies from the Four Corners northward to Idaho and Montana. That's the weather across America. St. Cloud, Minnesota will have heavy rain and thunderstorms today and a cool afternoon with a high of 66. It will be a hot day with plenty of sunshine in Boise, Idaho, and a high of 102. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. There's a new wrinkle in the presidential debate scheduled for September. Correspondent Jackie Quinn has the update.
In a social media post, former President Donald Trump says he agreed to a debate with President Biden on ABC, not with Kamala Harris. And earlier in the week, inserted a dig against her at a black journalist convention.
You know what? She failed her law exam. She didn't pass her law exam, so maybe she wouldn't pass the cognitive test.
Also Wednesday, Vice President Harris challenged him to keep the September date.
Because as the saying goes, if you've got something to say,
These differing plans, though, seem to make it increasingly unlikely the candidates will confront one another face-to-face before the November election. I'm Jackie Quinn.
A top Jordanian official is visiting Iran as tensions in the region grow. Correspondent Karen Chammas reports.
The visit by Jordan's Foreign Minister Ayman Safadi, the first senior official visit in 20 years, comes as the US and its Arab allies try to prevent a regional conflict. Israel killed a senior Hezbollah commander in an airstrike on Beirut recently. A day later, Hamas's top political leader was killed in an explosion in Tehran. Both attacks were widely blamed on Israel, which has acknowledged killing the Hezbollah commander. Iran, Hezbollah and Hamas have vowed to avenge the killings. Jordan, which borders Israel to the east, would likely be in the path of any Iranian retaliatory strike. I'm Karen Chammas.
Coming up, mortgage interest rates fall. We'll take a look when America in the Morning continues after these messages. This is America in the Morning. The Business Report is brought to you by Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, always putting clients' interests first. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. Monday Business with CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. First, what happened at market close on Friday?
Wall Street opens this morning after an ugly stock sell-off on Friday. The July jobs report came in weaker than expected. Bond yields fell. Mortgage rates did too. The Dow on Friday was down as much as 900 points. Kind of spooked everybody. About a third of the drop in the Dow on Friday was because of Amazon. Its shares tanked on disappointing quarterly results.
When a correction happens, it always feels like it's something worse. 100% of the time, it feels like it's going to be a bear market when you've got profit growth, when you've got GDP growth continuing, when you've still got job growth going on. It's hard to get really bearish.
Cerity Partners' Jim Lebenthal on CNBC. The U.S. added just 114,000 jobs last month. Normally, that would be okay, but after such strong job creation post-pandemic, it was well below expectations.
The unemployment rate moved up to 4.3. That is the warmest it's been since October of 21.
CNBC's Rick Santelli. The Labor Department notes that Hurricane Beryl knocked out power to more than 2.5 million homes and businesses in Texas. That happened in early July, and that could have impacted the numbers.
Not that there's a lot of firing or job loss going on. There's not a lot of hiring. This is a weak report. Used to be a pretty normal level. 114 we'd be pretty happy with. I think we're at this phase right now where the catch-up hiring, especially in the health and education sector and in the government sector, that, at least in the month of July, has come to an end.
CNBC senior economics reporter Steve Leisman. Others put it all in perspective.
We can't overinterpret 1 month of jobs data. So while the jobs data is down, the growth rate in the second quarter was almost 3% because it's 1 month, and we've seen months down before over the last 3 years, and then they bounce back.
Urban League President Mark Morial on CNBC.
Jessica, what happened to mortgage rates over the weekend?
They dropped on Friday. A couple of times, actually, last week. Mortgages loosely follow the yield on the 10-year Treasury. And as that dropped, the average rate on a 30-year fixed home loan came down from more than 7% to 6.4% on Friday. The numbers are according to Mortgage News Daily, and this means people who have mortgages in the 7% range, they're able to refi.
There are 900,000 more folks that could save 0.75% through a refinance today than there were just a couple of days ago. We're up 60% in terms of refinance incentive here over the last couple of days just because of that drop in rates.
Intercontinental Exchange's Andy Walden on CNBC. Mortgage rates at their lowest now since April of 2023. On today's watch list, we get earnings from Tyson Foods.
CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. An investigation is underway which may lead to the recall of nearly 1 million Dodge Journey SUVs. Correspondent Haya Panjwani has details.
The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration upgraded an investigation opened last year to an engineering analysis and added 11 model years. The agency says in documents that it now has 19 complaints that inoperative door locks and windows can prevent people from getting out of the small SUVs during an emergency. Documents say investigators will look at the cause of the fire and its potential effect on the actuation of the door locks. In a statement, Stellantis said the company extends sympathy to the woman's family and is cooperating with the investigation. I'm Haya Panjwani.
When we return on America in the Morning, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s prank after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. In a video posted to social media, independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. admits that he once placed a dead bear in Central Park as a prank. In the video, Kennedy recounts the story to actress Roseanne Barr. He says he was heading to a falconry excursion with friends when a woman driving ahead of him hit and killed a young bear with her vehicle. He says he put it in his own vehicle, intending to skin it and eat the meat, but the day got away from him. Eventually, he says he was in Manhattan and needed to get the bear carcass out of his vehicle. His friends, fueled by alcohol, concocted the Central Park plan as a prank, he said, adding he was not drunk himself. At the time, bicycle accidents were getting significant media attention, so Kennedy and his friends, thought it'd be funny to make it look like the bear was hit by a bicycle. 2 women walking their dogs found the dead bear and alerted authorities, touching off a mystery that captivated the city for a few days. But how the bear ended up in Central Park remained a mystery until now. America in the Morning for Monday, August 5th, 2024 is produced by Alexander Hinton. Our senior producer, Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
Tensions growing in northern Israel as worries about the war in the Middle East expanding continue. I'm John Stolnis in Washington.
Major flooding concerns in the southeast as Debbie churns to the north. I'm Clayton Neville.
DOJ sues TikTok over Children's Privacy Act. Again, I'm Chuck Palm.
Water quality concerns in the Seine River are affecting some swimming events at the Paris Olympics. I'm Karen Chammas.
A serial killer and a grown-up child with a purple crayon could not unseat the superheroes at the box office. I'm Kevin Carr.
Back after these messages. Back with you now on America in the Morning. Over the weekend, the 4th named hurricane of the season formed. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy with an update.
Hurricane Debbie will continue slowly northward today, approaching the Big Bend in northern Florida. Debbie is going to make landfall as a hurricane during the midday and then continue on a path into southern Georgia later today into tonight. Impacts from Debbie will be significant with a storm surge of 10 to 15 feet near and east of the center of the storm in Appalachia Bay, Florida. Along with this coastal inundation, Debbie will bring heavy rainfall leading to additional flooding. There'll be several inches to as much of a foot of rainfall over the next 24 hours across northern Florida, which will expand into southern Georgia and southern South Carolina today and tonight. Winds at 120 miles per hour near the point of landfall will also cause considerable damage. Debbie will lose some wind intensity after landfall, but there will remain significant impacts from rain and wind tonight and through the rest of the week as Debbie slowly moves into the southeast, or could even stall for a time. Folks in Georgia and the Carolinas should pay close attention. Elsewhere, there is going to be a front extending from the northern plains through the Great Lakes into the northeast, and from that there will be some showers and thunderstorms from North and South Dakota eastward through Wisconsin and continuing into New York and New England. A few of the storms could be heavy and gusty in the Great Lakes and northeast, with heavier rain possible in the Dakotas and Minnesota. Scattered afternoon thunderstorms will form again over the Rockies from the Four Quarters northward to Idaho and Montana, and the rest of the nation is going to be largely dry from the central and southern plains into the rest of the southeast and middle Atlantic. There will be plenty of sunshine with highs mostly in the 90s and 100s, and the west coast will also have plenty of sunshine with a hot afternoon. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
You can follow us wherever you get your podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. Now 23 till. There are concerns the growing tension between Israel and Iran-backed Hezbollah in Lebanon will lead to a wider all-out conflict soon. John Stolnis has the latest from Washington.
Over the weekend, Iran says the killing of a Hamas leader last Thursday in the capital of Tehran was carried out by a short-range projectile followed by a severe explosion, not from a hidden explosive device in the home in which Ismail Haniyeh was staying. Israel denies accusations they carried out the assassination of Haniyeh, but the death of the Hamas political leader has only served to ramp up tensions between Israel and Iranian-backed proxies in the region. Speaking on Fox News Sunday, White House National Security spokesman John Kirby says they don't want to see things spiral out of control.
We've been very, very consistent about not wanting to see this war escalate and get broader. We've also been very, very consistent about proving, not just with words, but with action, that we're going to stand up and defend Israel. I mean, on April 13th, when Iran launched 300 missiles and drones, the United States had aircraft, fighter planes in the air to knock them down.
Kirby says he's holding out hope a peace agreement can be reached by Israel and Hamas.
We still believe a ceasefire deal is the best way to bring this war to an end. It's also impossible, we believe very possible. We still believe the gaps are narrow enough to close.
It comes as U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken reportedly told G7 allies that Hezbollah could launch a large-scale attack on Israel from the north within the next 24 hours. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu yesterday warned anyone who murders Israeli citizens will pay a very heavy price. Kirby says the U.S. is prepared to assist Israel in case Hezbollah does decide to attack.
Look, when the Supreme Leader says he's going to avenge, we have to take that seriously. Now, I don't know what they're going to do or when they're going to do it, but we got to make darn sure that we're ready and that we have the capabilities in the region to be able to help Israel defend itself and, quite frankly, defend our own people, our own facilities, our own national security interests.
Last week, Israel killed a Hezbollah commander in Lebanon in retaliation for a strike from the Iran-backed militant group. Israel conducted 2 airstrikes yesterday in the West Bank that killed 9 Palestinian militants. John Stolness, Washington.
The U.S. and China neck and neck in the medal count at the Summer Olympics. Correspondent Gethin Coolball reports.
The United States and China are neck and neck in the gold medal count at the Paris Olympics after 9 days of competition. The U.S. and China are tied with a games-leading total of 19 gold medals, and the Americans lead the overall medal count with 71. Noah Lyles, Bobby Fink, Scotty Scheffler, Kristen Faulkner, and the U.S. women's relay team all brought home golds for the Americans on Sunday. Lyles won gold in the 100-meter dash after a photo finish with Jamaica's Kishane Thompson, winning by just 5 1/1000ths of a second. It's the first American gold in the event in 20 years. Fellow American Fred Curley won the bronze. Fink set a new world record to win the 1,500-meter freestyle in a time of 14 minutes, 30.67 seconds. Scheffler claimed gold in the men's golf competition in his first Olympic Games, firing a closing round 62 to earn a one-shot victory over Tommy Fleetwood. Faulkner became the first U.S. medalist in 40 years in the women's road race with her victory. And the U.S. swimming team of Lily King, Gretchen Walsh, Tori Husk, and Reagan Smith touched in a world record time of 3 minutes, 49.63 seconds in the 4x100 medley relay. The men's swimming team suffered a historic loss after China's upset win in the 4x100 medley relay, an event the Americans had won every year since its inception in 1960, with the exception of the 1980 boycott of the Moscow Games. In tennis, Serbia's Novak Djokovic defeated Spain's Carlos Alcaraz in the men's singles gold medal match 7-6, 7-6. It's the first gold medal for Djokovic, the 37-year-old becoming the oldest man to triumph in the event. Alcaraz says he felt that he let the Spanish people down despite going home with the silver.
I worked for it, I went for it, and it couldn't happen. So that's why I got emotional at the end.
In basketball, the U.S. women cruised to their 58th consecutive Olympic win, 87-68 over Germany. Jackie Young scored 19 points to pace the Americans. The U.S. men's 3-on-3 basketball team is headed home after a 21-6 loss to the Netherlands to cap a disappointing 2-5 record in pool play. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
Expect more widespread rain in the southeast this week as Hurricane Debbie is set to dump historic amounts of precipitation. Correspondent Clayton Neville has the latest.
A wet week ahead from Florida to the Carolinas as Debbie makes landfall and churns north.
This storm will not have winds that reach the level of Hurricane Idalia, but it is going to produce way more water throughout the northern part of the state of Florida.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis with governors in Georgia and in South Carolina declaring disasters ahead of the expected flooding.
This storm will not have winds that reach the level of Hurricane Idalia, but it is going to produce way more water throughout the northern part of the state of Florida.
Weather experts believe as many as 20 inches could fall in parts of the region over the next few days.
It basically begins to slow down, and this is going to be the story of this storm, is this slow movement over the next several days. Why is that so important? Because it's going to sit over southeastern Georgia, right off the coast of South Carolina.
Jamie Romes with the National Hurricane Center and says there's a potentially wide range of torrential rainfall.
Over northern Florida into southeastern Georgia. This is Savannah. Over eastern, southeastern South Carolina. This is Charleston, extending almost all the way up to Hilton Head.
Rome concerned that some will underestimate Debbie.
That's going to be a huge mistake because this really slow motion is just going to dump historic amounts of rainfall.
River flooding a major concern in the region over the next few days. National Guard troops have been deployed and crews are standing by for water rescues when and where they're needed. I'm Clayton Neville.
It's 17 till. The feds turn up the heat on TikTok. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. I'm John Trout. Warren Buffett shocked Wall Street over the weekend. Correspondent Julie Walker explains.
Billionaire Warren Buffett slashed Berkshire Hathaway's massive Apple stake in a move that could prove unsettling for the broader stock market because the investor is so revered and there had been little positive financial news lately. The Apple sale is such a surprise because just 2 years ago, Buffett was calling the stock one of the four giants of his conglomerate's business alongside Berkshire Insurance, utility, and BNSF railroad businesses that it owns outright. That gave investors the impression Buffett might hold on to Apple indefinitely, like he was with Coca-Cola and Amex shares he bought decades ago, although he has trimmed the Apple stake over the past year. I'm Julie Walker.
Former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris continue to trade barbs with one another. Correspondent Jackie Quinn has that story.
The rival presidential candidates have been taking personal jabs. Donald Trump in Atlanta insulting Kamala Harris this weekend.
She happens to be really a low IQ individual. She really does. She has a very low IQ.
While she told supporters last week, voters deserve better than Donald Trump.
The American people deserve a leader who tells the truth, a leader who does not respond with hostility and anger.
Insiders say her new Republicans for Harris campaign will use well-known Republican figures to try to activate people who supported Nikki Haley, with events coming up in battleground states, Arizona, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania, just 3 months away from the presidential election. I'm Jackie Quinn.
Alma Cooper, a U.S. Army officer from Michigan, has been crowned as the Miss USA. She beat out 50 other contestants to replace the previous title holder, Savannah Gankowitz, who earned the crown in May, but then made the controversial decision to abdicate, citing mental health reasons. Kentucky's Connor Perry and Oklahoma's Danica Christopherson were named first and second runners-up, respectively. America in the Morning continues. The Department of Justice and the Federal Trade Commission have joined in a lawsuit against Chinese-owned TikTok for violating children's privacy and not protecting their personal data. Chuck Palm has that in today's Tech Report.
The Department of Justice has filed yet another lawsuit against TikTok and parent company ByteDance for failing to protect children's privacy on their social media app. According to the government, TikTok has violated the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act that requires services aimed at children to obtain parental consent before they collect personal information about people under the age of 13. TikTok said on Friday they disagree with the allegations, many of which relate to past events and practices that are factually inaccurate. The DOJ shot back, saying they knowingly permitted children to create regular TikTok accounts and then share short videos and messages with adults and other users on the TikTok platform. Chinese-owned ByteDance says they have more than 170 million users in the U.S. and that they're still fighting the new law that would force ByteDance to divest TikTok's U.S. assets or face a ban. The FTC has joined the lawsuit with the DOJ to put an end to the invasion of children's privacy. Visit allthetoptech.tech to leave a comment. I'm Chuck Palm.
Concerns about the water quality of the Seine River in Paris continue to plague the Summer Olympics. Correspondent Karen Chammas reports.
Bacteria levels in the river fluctuate constantly and daily water samples are tested so organisers can assess the risk and decide whether swims in the long polluted Paris waterway should go forward. Most recently, organisers have cancelled multiple test swims meant to let triathletes familiarise themselves with the course over water quality concerns following the rain. Paris 2024 spokesperson Anne Descamps.
We took the decision to cancel the swim familiarisation
for the mixed triathlon.
The water quality in the Seine is linked closely to the weather. Heavy rains cause wastewater and runoff to flow into the river, causing bacteria levels to rise, while the sun's ultraviolet rays can kill the bacteria, and Paris has seen several downpours during the games so far. I'm Karen Chammas.
With more in sports, here's America in the Morning's Robert Workman.
Just 8 weeks left in the baseball regular season. On Sunday, the Phillies shut out the Mariners 6-0 to snap a 6-game losing streak. Zach Wheeler stepped into the role of stopper with 8 innings of 2-hit ball, 9 strikeouts. Kyle Schwarber led off the game with a homer, and the Phils added 3 more dingers in a 5-run eighth to salvage 1 game in the matchup of division leaders in Seattle. 2 other division leaders met in Cleveland. The Orioles clocked the Guardians 9-5, splitting the 4-game weekend series. Jackson Holliday and Gunnar Henderson homered in the 4th inning to help Corbin Burns get his 12th win. Yankees outlasted the Blue Jays 4-3 in 10 innings. DJ LeMahieu singled through a 5-man infield for the walk-off winner after a nearly 2-hour rain delay.
I think it was more relief than anything. Our guys came out with energy for that rain delay. More energy than I think we had the first part of the game, so that was a big testament to our guys being locked in.
New York remains tied with Baltimore for the AL East lead. MJ Melendez smacked a pinch-hit 3-run jack in the top of the 9th to lift the Royals over the Tigers 3-2. Dodgers edged the A's 3-2. Angels slipped past the Mets 3-2. Nationals treated the Brewers 4-3. James Wood with a bases-loaded triple. Twins scored 6 times in the 2nd inning and coasted to a 13-7 victory over the White Sox, Chicago's 20th loss in a row. That's 1 away from the American League record. Marlins boxed out the Braves 7-0. Edward Cabrera and company scattered 6 hits. Jonah Bride's 3-run tater capped a 6-run 4th. Rays blanked the Astros 1-0. 5 Tampa Bay pitchers held Houston to 3 hits. Padres pounded the Rockies 10-2. David Peralta belted a 3-run dinger. Jock Peterson's 3-run shot helped the Diamondbacks put down the Pirates 6-5. Red Sox racked the Rangers 7-2. Wilyer Abreu hit 2 homers not long after learning of the passing of his grandmother in Venezuela.
To be able to go out there and perform in this situation was great for me, and great for the team, but at the same time I felt obviously but sad at the same time.
Last night the Cubs beat the Cardinals 6-2 and the Giants romped over the Reds 8-2. After last week's Hall of Fame game, the preseason NFL schedule kicks off in earnest this week. Opening night is 1 month from today, the Ravens and the Super Bowl champion Chiefs. That's Monday Sports.
Thank you, Robert. When we return on America in the Morning, rocker Steven Tyler off the road after these messages. As America in the Morning continues, superheroes and tornadoes remained at the top of the box office this weekend. That from entertainment correspondent Kevin Carr.
Deadpool and Wolverine continued their box office dominance this weekend.
Deadpool and Wolverine. Finally, after all these years.
The Merc with the Mouth and his blue and yellow clad sidekick sliced up $97 million in their sophomore weekend to remain in first place.
You really are God's perfect idiot, aren't you? The answer is yes.
That's the 8th highest second weekend gross ever, pushing the comic book movie closer and closer to $1 billion worldwide.
You think you can disrupt a tornado?
In theory. The summer's other big action hit, Twisters, held in second place with $22 million.
Are those fireworks?
Yes, ma'am.
The film is struggling a bit overseas, but is still at a healthy $274 million worldwide.
How you all doing? You having fun?
M. Night Shyamalan's thriller Trap debuted at number 3 with $15 million. This is along the lines of the director's recent films Knock at the Cabin and Old, but it will still need some legs to clear its $30 million budget.
Look up.
Animated hits Despicable Me 4 and Inside Out 2 came in 4th and 5th with $11 million and $6.7 million respectively. It's clearly a summer for family movies, with some exceptions.
It's what your crayon is made of. Wax. Pure imagination.
The other new wide release, Harold and the Purple Crayon, starring Zachary Levi, based on the beloved books, melted in the sun with only $6 million. I'm Kevin Carr.
The rock band Aerosmith has announced they're no longer going to go on tour because lead singer Steven Tyler has permanent damage to his vocal cords. The iconic band responsible for such hits as Dream On, Sweet Emotion, Walk This Way, and many more posted a statement announcing the cancellation of remaining dates on its tour and provided an update on Tyler's voice, saying, quote, he has spent months tirelessly working on getting his voice to where it was before his injury. We've seen him struggling despite having the best medical team by his side. Sadly, it's clear that a full recovery from his vocal injury is not possible, end quote. Aerosmith formed in the 1970s and since has earned 4 Grammys and is part of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. America in the Morning for Monday, August 5th, 2024 is produced by Alexander Hinton. Our senior producer, Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.